listeners, and welcome to episode 153 of the Nigeria Football Weekly podcast. I'm your host, Olu OK. The 2025/2026 football season is officially back round the corner, and there's a lot to look forward to, which I'm super excited about. On today's episode of the podcast, I'll be doing a quick recap on the Nigerian players that have made moves that are noteworthy in the top 10 leagues, and then I'll also be doing the big one, as you can see, repping my beloved Arsenal. We'll be doing our Premier League predictions for the season. Of course, always exciting to go again. I'm sure Arsenal fans, Liverpool fans, City fans, Chelsea fans, everybody thinks their clubs go win the league. But let me tell you something, I believe there's only one winner. So we're going to get into that, and then just doing our usual preview on a few Champions League qualifiers that have taken place today and will be taking place tomorrow. And then talking on the Chan Eagles, who we'll get to them anyway. And then we'll be doing the player previews in terms of the games to watch out for this weekend, as the majority of our players resume their club campaigns for the season. Of course, it's a World Cup year. We'll know in literally like this time next month, we'll know whether Nigeria have a good chance of making the World Cup or not. But still, there's a lot to be excited about. We've got AFCON in December, so we've got Nigerian players who are fighting for their lives, both to make the World Cup squad. First, to qualify for the World Cup and potentially make the World Cup squad, but more importantly and first and foremost, to make the AFCON squad, will be taking place from December 24th. And Nigeria, you know, we've already been grouped into Uganda, Tanzania, and Tunisia. We have no excuses. I've looked at our mapped out journey throughout, and really and truly, we should have no excuse until we potentially play Morocco in the semi-final. But we'll get into that at the right time. So without any further ado, and to get cracking with players who made moves, I'll just be going through some of them. Obviously, we can't cover everything. But of course, the big move of the summer involving Nigerian players so far was Victor James Osimhen. He finally completed his permanent move from Napoli to Galatasaray. He spent the season on loan in Galatasaray last season, where he scored just under 40 goals for the Turkish champions and won the double. In Europe, they didn't do that well. He missed the first leg of the Europa League knockout game, and they got absolutely slapped. So there's a lot for us to look forward to. I mean, to be honest, I enjoyed covering Osimhen in the Turkish league last year, because we all thought he would be a one and done you know. But look, at the end of the day, we know he's had a bit of a struggle time leaving Napoli. When you look at how easy it was for Kvaratskhelia compared to an Osimhen, and now Kvaratskhelia is a Champions League winner. And meanwhile, Osimhen, you could argue, was even a bit more important to that Napoli Scudetto win in 2023, and to now see him play for Galatasaray while Kvaratskhelia is playing at PSG, it just leaves a bit of a sour taste in the mouth. Don't get me wrong, personally, I'm sure he's happy, he's going to get paid, and Istanbul, they love him, so fantastic. Also, I don't have to replace that picture, so I know how much it cost me, so we'll look at the positives from that angle. And he'll still score goals, and of course, what it means now is he'll still play in the Champions League. Galatasaray qualified after finishing first, so we'll get to watch him in the Champions League. But do we expect Galatasaray to really do much in the Champions League? They'll probably make it as one of the top 24 teams, but after that, to be honest, you're not sure how it goes. I just hope he does well and continues to showcase his immense talent, and as long as he keeps delivering for the Super Eagles, we'll be very happy. Me personally, whenever you have a Nigerian player who comes and has the potential to play for the best teams in the world, it doesn't happen as often as we would like to think. If it's our diaspora Nigerians, the ones born in England, we know we have our seed everywhere. France, Germany, England, we have a lot of people that you can say could end up playing for these big teams. But it's not every day that you have a Nigerian international playing for these best teams, you know, so that just leaves a slight sour taste in the mouth. But he's happy, so we're happy for him. But in terms of rating, do we say this move is great, made, or disappointing? The truth of the matter is it's made, in my opinion. You know, I even saw a Gallo say maybe he should have gone to Saudi for 2 years, collect money and come back. But look, he looks happy, so I don't mind it. One thing I want to call out though is I hope people can see how they can easily smear an African player's name. Look at what Isaac is doing now to throw tantrums to leave Newcastle. Meanwhile, Osimhen, all these unfounded rumors. I saw Gary Lineker say that thing that I mentioned on last week's podcast, that he said he can go missing. Osimhen has never done any of these things, so if we had a credible NFF where coaches would give press conferences, even that Finidi George debacle might not have happened because there was miscommunication. But did Finidi George do a press conference? No. To clarify why Osimhen was not called? No. So everything was hearsay. All of a sudden, boost. They've now got to go and smidge the character of our best player. I don't like it. But anyway, wish him well. We'll continue to cover him and hope for the best as the Turkish season resumes. Another player who just moved to Turkey is Wilfred Ndidi. He just made a move from Championship side Leicester City to Besiktas. Honestly, I'm just glad that he's not playing Championship again. Like, he's too good to be playing there. We know he's been a loyal servant for Leicester. He spent 8 years there, became a citizen. There were even a few years in his first 3 or 4 years where people used to compare him to one of the best defensive midfielders in the league. And we always thought he could make a top 6 move, but he never made that jump. And now you have to say that injuries have slowed him down a little bit. But playing for Besiktas, he'll be a starter. You know, I don't know if Besiktas can usurp Fenerbahce or Galatasaray to win the league, but they should remain the big 3, which means he will likely play Europa League because Besiktas finished 3rd. So it's an interesting one, but all in all, he's not playing Championship, so we'll take the positives from that move. So I'll say this one is a mid-move. Also, Moses Simon, we saw him make the jump from Nantes to Paris FC, who are like the new ambitious team that just got promoted to League 1. They're moving a bit like Sunderland. You know, they've signed a few pretty good players. They signed Otavio from Porto as well, who play on the other side of the wing to Moses Simon in the team, and a few other interesting moves. To be honest, this is one where we just have to watch and see. You know, my initial reaction is still big fish in a small pond. But let's see if Paris FC can push for a top half finish in League 1. They must do better than Nantes for us to say that this move is progressive, but I don't know why Simon doesn't seem to have ambitions of playing in Europe. And this was clearly like his final big contract, or maybe he has one more because I know he's close to 30. I think he's 29 years old. So very interesting move, but I'll call him mid, to be honest. At least he'll get to play in the Paris derby against Paris Saint-Germain. And he's very well known in France and in Ligue 1, so maybe that also played a part in his thinking. Another player to move, you can see a pattern here, but Brighton side, Samuel swapped Fenerbahce and Jose Mourinho, who, by the way, qualified for the final round of Champions League qualifiers today, coming from behind to beat Feyenoord 6-2 on aggregates. So Brighton side, Samuel left potential Champions League football to go and sign for Birmingham City, who just got promoted from League 1 to the Championship. Now, the one thing to say is it leaves a bit of a sour taste. However, Birmingham City are like the new ambitious kids on the block. They've got Tom Brady as one of their ownerships. They've signed Demari Gray, Kyogo Fuirashi, a lot of players. To be honest, they should be challenging for top spot in the Championship this season. However, you have to say that when a player goes from there to move to the Championship, he could say personal reasons, but are you telling me that no team in the Premier League wanted Brighton side Samuel? This is someone that was linked to Crystal Palace or a few other Prem teams in January. So I don't know why these are players feel comfortable going to the Championship. Maybe it's because they know they may still be picked. So, but this one leaves a bit of a sour taste, but I'll call it mid. The move itself is not impressive, but Birmingham City could end up in the Premier League August next year. But it remains to be seen what this means for Sai Samuel's Super Eagles prospects. He'll probably still remain the backup to Olaino at the moment. But let me tell you, if another right back starts showing Watkins, if he loses his place, he only has himself to blame for that move. Now, a move I will actually consider great based on the circumstances, Jordan Torunariga. He's made the move from Ghent in Belgium to Hamburg in the Bundesliga. Hamburg, as I've previously said on this podcast, one of the giants of German football, even though they've had a very fallow 7-year period where they were in the second division in Germany. But of course, previous Champions League winners, massive history, one of the top 5 most supported clubs in Germany. So in terms of being packed out and having home advantage, they should definitely see that. But it remains to be seen if they've retooled their squad enough to really assault the Bundesliga and maybe push for a top 10 finish. The aim here will be to avoid relegation at the moment. But I also like the fact that Torunariga is linking up with his former German under-21 coach, who is now the coach of Hamburg. So that means he should have a coach that believes in him and really likes to play him. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Torunariga can do in Hamburg. And just maybe he may force himself into, making the AFCON squad, because we have a lot of centre-backs that at the moment they need to be looking very well on if they'll make that squad. We know Basia and Ekong are guaranteed. But apart from those two, everybody else, you got to show Watkins this season. That's the honest truth. Another move I would consider made another centre-back, Shemi Ajayi. He moved from West Brom to Hull City. the manner in which he left West Brom was not necessarily the best. We know his contract was not renewed, so they're basically moving past him. If West Brom, who could not make the playoffs, is happy to let Semi Ajayi go after serving them for 5+ years, that gives you an idea of where Semi Ajayi is at this stage of his career. He's already 30 plus and not exactly the best defender on the ground, as I've mentioned numerous times. However, Hull City will not challenge for the Premier League. We know they won't. Maybe they may surprise us. And they started this weekend with the 0-0 draw. So shout out Semi Ajayi for keeping a clean sheet. But this move leaves a lot to be desired, to be honest. It's not an upgrade on West Brom at all. But good for him. He's still a professional footballer and will get to play games. But it's a mid for me. On a positive note, Polonuachu has swapped the relegation team, Southampton, now in the Championship, and gone back to where he's loved. I love when they say, go to where you're loved. Him too, he's back in the Turkish League playing for Trabzonspor, and he's done very well in the Turkish League when he was there for Trabzonspor before. Maybe he's one of those players who just needs to be in the right environment to thrive. He has already scored in his first game back for Trabzonspor over the weekend. Pretty good goal by Onuachu, so it's already been a great start for him. Trabzonspor have also been in the final of the Turkish Cup in the past 2 seasons, so at least in terms of the potential of winning silverware, we know that he has that potential chance. Remember a few years ago in one of the early episodes of Nigeria Football Weekly, Antonio Keme won the league with Trabzonspor. I think it was 2021 or 2022. So you never know what Trabzonspor could do. But I'll say this one is between great to mid, but I still don't expect him to be called up to the national team anytime soon. Now, just 2 more to get on. Chidozie Awaziem has swapped the MLS from Colorado Rapids and moved back to the French League. He's signed for Nantes. As Moses Simon has left, another Nigerian has come into Nantes. Now, this move, him moving to a team in the MLS at his age at that point 2 years ago, it was an interesting choice in terms of his ambition. I mean, could have been to secure the bag, I don't know. But of course, he put paid to his Super Eagles career when he made that move to MLS. Now that he's moved back to the French League with Nantes for a second spell, will he be an important part of the team? Will he start? And will Nantes be able to survive in League One? I personally will call this move a great one considering where he was in the MLS, but I will say that he has a lot of work to do to get back in Super Eagles contention. I do like the fact that everybody likes Awaziem's energy, and you need those kind of characters around the squad sometimes. But we have too much depth in centre back, even with Adarabioyo Shakara. You know, someone was correcting my pronunciation of Adarabioyo on TikTok, so I hope I pronounced it right. But please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. So good move for Awaziem, and we'll see how he gets on for Nantes. Now to talk about the great work of the Super Falcons, I need to talk about Chiamaka Nadozie. She swapped Paris FC to move to Brighton in WSL. It's not a bad move when you move to WSL, and she's still young. She's 24 years old. She could find herself on the books of a bigger team over the coming years, and I really think she has the potential to do just that. She has shown how good she is. She's playing the Champions League for Paris FC, so this is a top goalkeeper, you know, and we see how well she's done as the best goalkeeper in Africa. She'll probably win the award for the best goalkeeper in Africa in December as well, and let's see how she performs in the WSL. So this one I rate it great, but I feel like in the next 2 or 3 years she could move to an Arsenal, Man United, Man City or Chelsea when it comes to women's football. Those are the dominant forces. Also, Risala Babajide has moved to AS Roma, so we'll watch out and see how she gets on. The Serie A Women's League is not the strongest compared to like La Liga or the WSL, but it's still or even the French League, which is one of the stronger ones for the women, but it's still a good league, decent enough environment. And we saw the Italian team narrowly lose out in the semi-finals of the Euros to England. So let's see how Risla Babajide does when she makes that move. Other transfers, Benjamin Tanimu, call it down to Maghreb Fes in Morocco. We'll never talk about Benjamin Tanimu again. He's where he belongs. He ain't good enough for us to be talking about him on this podcast, no offense. Kenneth Amero, Super Eagles legend, has moved as a free agent to CFR Cluj in Romania. Final payday. It probably shows how low he's dropped in his career from Kasim Pasa to CFR Cluj. Henry Ekuru is also back in Europe. He has moved from Al Faya in Saudi Arabia after securing the bag to move to newly promoted Turkish side, Jen Claire Brigley. I remember they used to have Nigerian players in that team before. Look, I don't mind it. So Ekuru, go and secure the bag. He was never like a starter for the Super Eagles anyway. So now he's come back to Europe, and it seems like our players really favor being in Turkey. And to be fair, they show them a lot of love there. Even to today, Okocha still gets love from Fenerbahce fans. So interesting one. Papa Daniel Mustafa has moved from Niger Tornadoes to Sedgley in Slovenia, so that tells you the level of the player, which is why all you MPFL warriors that will be shouting that they should put MPFL player in our league. We are coming to the Chan Eagles, don't worry, I'll soon be there. But this kind of player, with all due respect, should not be playing for the Super Eagles. Chuba Akpom has moved from Ajax to Ipswich Town on loan. Ipswich Town are probably the favourites to get promoted, and he's another big fish in a small pond. Whenever he plays in the Championship, he's one of the best players. He was even player of the year in his last Championship season, but once he moves to the top 5 leagues, you can see that struggle in terms of his performances. So interesting one. A few moves to watch out for the rest of the transfer window. Ademola Lookman is the big one. I want to see him move to Inter Milan or a bigger club of repute. I think he's the one Super Eagles player at the moment who will probably still be playing for a so-called giant of a club when you consider the teams that all our other players play for. It's the one thing that leaves a sour taste in my mouth. That's why I still appreciate Chukwueze at AC Milan, and I want him to do really well there. At the end of the day, you need your best players playing in the best clubs in the world. And unfortunately, in Nigeria right now, we don't have that. Maybe that's why their Daribayo thing was even pissing me off. But if it's dual nationals and players that we could call up, obviously we know we have plenty in top clubs. But when a player like Osimhen now moves to Galatasaray, you have to be honest and say, our players are not playing for the best teams in the world, which is a bit of a shame. So anyway, look out for where Ademola Lookman goes. Also, Rasheedat Ajibade, Super Falcons captain. She left Atletico Madrid after the summer, so let's see where she ends up at. I will predict WSL or NWSL in America, but let's see. And then Omar Sadiq, let's see Valencia run it back and try to sign him again. At the moment, he's back at Real Sociedad, but we know they don't want him. So they've sent him on loan twice in the past 2 years, so let's see where he ends up. So that's it in terms of the transfer reviews for the Nigerian players over the summer. Now, the tasty part, Premier League predictions. Hey, let me move back so you can see this jersey very well. As you can see, Adidas have given us all the drip we need. We're ready to assault the Premier League. And the Premier League starts on Friday. Everybody say hooray! Very exciting news. The defending champions Liverpool get the season underway on Friday. 8 p.m. kickoff against Bournemouth at Anfield. Pretty interesting. But in terms of my predictions, just let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree or what your thoughts are. I know every Nigerian person that watches this podcast likes Premier League. Even if you say you support Barcelona or Real Madrid, they watch Premier League. So let me know your thoughts. Give me your predictions too. Who's going to win the Premier League? What's your top 4 like? Who's the top goal scorer? Who's getting relegated? How do you expect Nigerian players to perform? Give it to me. Tell me what you think. I really, really appreciate all the lovely comments. So let me know what go on. So, what do I think? Let me start from relegation candidates. It's always a tricky one, but we've seen a pattern over the past few seasons where all the promoted teams in the past 2 years have gone straight back down just because the gap in quality between the Premier League and the Championship is a bit too big of a bridge to... the gap is a bit too wide to close that gap. And it's why I don't really like any of these so-called Super Eagles players in the Championship, because the difference is clear. So I expect probably Leeds and Burnley to go back down. I would have said all 3 promoted teams, to be honest, but Sunderland look like they recruited well, and I really like the signing of Xhaka, Simon Andigra, Habib Diallo, centre mid as well. And they just look like they've tooled well. Even Margui, the striker that left Barcelona and went to Chelsea, he's going on loan to Sunderland. He just may do very well, Adingra may do very well for Sunderland, but it's still a promoted team, so we have to temper expectations. In their place, I do think Brentford may struggle. They're about to lose Johan Visa. They've lost Brian Mbuemo. They've lost their captain, Christian Norgard. They've lost their manager, Thomas Frank. So there's just a lot of unknowns with Brentford right now. Shout out to them for hosting us in the Unity Cup, but I hope it remains a Premier League ground. Franco Yeka was no new sub in their friendly over the weekend, so I'm still not sure if Franco Yeka is going to end up playing or staying at Brentford, so that's one to watch for us. But I think they may get relegated. Now, to do my rundown of who I think will finish 7th to 1st, I think 7th this year will be Man United. They've bought a lot of quality players in attack. I'm a big fan of Matthias Cunha, especially. He was my favorite player outside the top 6 leagues last season. I've wanted him at Arsenal. Sesko's coming. The jury's out. Mbuemo bags, man, but let's see how they shape up. Does this mean Bruno Fernandes is going to then play in central midfield? They're unlikely to sign Baleba, so does that mean Bruno Fernandes will start games with Ugarte or Kobe Mainoo or Casemiro? If I was a Man United fan with the 3-4-3, I'll be worried about my central midfield pairing. So that's why the jury's still out. And their centre backs still leave a lot to be desired. And it also looks like it's Man City that are in for Donnarumma, not Man United. So I think Man U will improve on their, what did they finish last year? Is it 16th or 15th? So 7th is an improvement, but obviously that would mean they will probably play in the Conference League, so watch this space. I think 6th to be Tottenham Hotspur. Thomas Frank's a very good manager. I think last year was a big anomaly in terms of Ange Postecoglou and how rubbish they were in the league. My God, Tottenham scored so many goals. For them to have scored that many goals, they had a positive goal difference and they finished 17th. Literally just above the relegation zone. They lost over 20 Premier League games. That's how bad Tottenham were. They cannot be that bad. Even if you remove injuries, Van de Ven's coming back. Romero looks like he's staying. You know, they've made a few pretty good signings, especially João Palhinha in the center of the park, because Bissouma and Bentancur, none of them really left. They never really hit their potential, especially Bissouma coming from Brighton. They've signed Mohamed Kudus as a right winger. I think Kudus has the potential to explode. Shout out to Ghana. I love Kudus. I think he's the one Ghanaian player in the past 10 years that I wish was a super ego. He's that good. And I expect him to explode. You know, he probably hasn't had to move houses or anything because he's moved from West Ham to Tottenham. But I think he could really shine under Thomas Frank. We also expect them to be better defensively, so that will count for something. And there are rumors that they're in the market to sign Ebere Chieze after James Maddison's injury, and also potentially Savinho from Man City. So I still think their strikers, Solanke, Richarlison, it's not necessarily the best group. Matthias Tell leaves a lot to be desired, but I think Tottenham will go back to where they are. You know, they focused on Europa League last year, so I think Tottenham will finish 6th. 5th, I'm going for Unai Emery's boys, Aston Villa. This one is a bit of a interesting selection just because they've lost Rashford, they've lost Asensio, but the core of their team is still there. Oli Watkins is still there. Yuri Tielemans and Onana in the midfield. They've still got Leon Bailey. Daniel Marlin's playing all right at the moment, you know, so you can still see the offshoots of John McGinn is still in there. They still have a decent defense as well, and of course they still kept on to Emiliano Martinez. And there's a thing about Unai Emery where if he gets to play in a team consistently and really shape the team in his image, you expect them to do pretty well. I expect Villa to still make 1 or 2 moves before the end of the transfer window, so let's watch this space. But I think Villa are my pick to finish 5th after narrowly losing out on a Champions League spot last year. 4th, I think it'll be Chelsea. Chelsea looked really, really good, especially towards the end of the season. Of course, they won the Conference League with their B squad. And of course, they surprisingly won the Club World Cup, so shout out to them. Even though now all of a sudden everyone say world champions, but he finished 4th. Before Infantino created this money-making machine, nobody was calling anybody world champions. So anyway, we'll see you on the pitch. But I think Chelsea have strengthened well. I mean, my word, they've sold so well. And obviously, in the wings, they've got Esteval, Jamie Gittins is there. They're about to sign Garnacho. They've obviously upgraded attack. João Pedro looks like a fantastic signing that just fits like a glove. They've got Liam Delap as their backup striker now. You know, Cole Palmer looks like he's feeling it after that Club World Cup final performance. Obviously, Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez continue in midfield. I think they've also beefed up their midfield with Andre Santos in there as well. Kusenda from Sporting Lisbon as well. So the main reason why I've put them in 4th is I think their defense still leaves a lot to be desired. You know, at the end of the day, still Cucurella, James. Now that Cowell is injured, probably Hato will play there. Or they may even try and sign another centre-back, and then they've got their Darabios and I've got to know what's the ways, Badiashile, people they rotate, and then obviously you have Sanchez in goal. So I'm sorry, that kind of defense cannot win the Prem. So watch this space. I'll say 4th. 3rd, Manchester City. I mean, don't get me wrong. Anybody from 1st to 3rd could end up winning the league, in my opinion. I expect Erling Haaland to be back to his exceptional best self, hit at least 30 Premier League goals. I think Tijani Reinders is one of the best, if not the best signing of the summer. Anybody who watched Serie A last year, this guy scored 10 goals and got at least 4 assists from midfield. He's an absolutely fantastic player. He reminds me of Lampard, breaking into the box. Timing's always perfect. He can finish, he could pass, he could score, he could head the ball, and he has heart. That's what I like about Reinders. Ryan Cherky could also explode. We know how good he is, but I'm always interested to see how Mavericks fare when they play for Pep Guardiola. So that's one to monitor, just see if he starts regularly. Will Foden rise again and remind us that he's a footballer? We'll see. Now that Savinho looks like he's on his way out, there's rumors that City may go for Rodrigo. So let's see what happens there. Obviously, Rodri's injured again until September, so that may affect them. But they still have a decent enough defense with Diaz, Josko Gvardiol. They've also signed Ryan Nuri, who's a big differential. I think he could really explode. We know how good he is as an attacking fullback. But would they remain vulnerable in defense? It's likely. We also know that they will likely get Donnarumma, and Ederson may be on his way out to Galatasaray. But Donnarumma is not as good playing the ball out the back with his feet. So will they regress slightly? The jury's out. Also, we can't forget the monumental loss of Kevin De Bruyne. Yes, you could say his powers were waning, but he's still Kevin De Bruyne, So that's why I say Man City will finish third. Obviously, on my podcast, whether you say bias or not, I'm not going to predict my team to finish second. So second place will be Liverpool, Champions deservedly so last year. Mohamed Salah was incredible. Van Dijk incredible. The whole team was incredible. However, this year I still think they'll be there or thereabouts. They've signed Florian Wirtz, fantastic player. Ekitike, my word, you see his debut, 4 minutes at Wembley. Fantastic finish. Gakpo's still there. It looks like they'll have to tweak their formation slightly, because if they're going to play a 4-2-3-1 with Wirtz as the cam, that changes things from when they were playing Szoboszlai, McAllister and Gravenberch as their cams. So, as their midfield three. So it's interesting. Will Szoboszlai now drop on the bench like he did on Sunday? It's interesting to see how they fix up. Also, we know with their injuries, I heard they may sign Maguire, so that'll be a good signing. But it must be said, Van Dijk looked like a 34-year-old on Sunday. When you look at the goals Palace scored. So let's see what happens. Kerkesh and Frimpong look pretty good, but will they be too attacking? Will they be able to replace the output that we saw from Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold for the best part of the past 6-7 years? The jury's out. Let's see. So there's a lot to watch out for, but of course they're champions. How will may so continue to rest in peace, the Jota tragedy affect the players psychologically? But I definitely think it's a two-horse race between Arsenal and Liverpool. So my winner is, of course, Arsenal, the Gunners. I think if you come second 3 times in a row, I'm sorry, you have to finish the job. You can't finish second or lower again. Everybody's been crying out that we needed a striker. We've gone to sign Glock 14. I'm really excited about the signing. He scored a great header on the weekend against Athletic Bilbao. They said he cannot head. First goal for Arsenal, header. Fantastic scenes. Now we've got backup for Saka if he should get injured. Nwaneri's going to take another step. So if Odegaard likes to misbehave, we shall see. Midfield, Rice and Mendy already look like a fantastic pairing. And I don't have to tell you how good Arsenal's defense is. Gabriel, Saliba, Mosquera now as a backup, Kiwior as a backup, Timber or White, anyone we like are right back. Calafiori, oh my God. I just hope he can stay fit. What a player. And now we even have Raya and a backup like Kepa. So when you look at Arsenal's squad, the only drawback is still the left wing. Because if we go into the season with Martinelli and Trossard, or forcing this whole Madueke gimmick, look, let me tell you something. Arteta's track record signing attackers is not the best. We signed Willian. It did not work out. We just seen him make some interesting mistakes. He sanctioned the Sterling move last year. What did Sterling do? Nothing. So that whole 52 million for Madueke still leaves a sour taste in my mouth. But look, Madueke, come and shut me up. I hope you shut me up. But now I'm hearing Izzy's Tottenham are interested in Izzy. It's not making me happy. Just come and sign all the Nigerian guys that are playing for Colonizer. We already have Saka. We already have Madueke now. Just go and bring Izzy. Bring all of them. Don't worry. Whoever does not make World Cup squad will comfort them with Premier League medal. So that's the one part I'm trying to see what's going to happen there. If Chelsea's board were in charge of Arsenal, they would have signed Eze by now. They will even be using stars to tell Trossard that he should find his way. And this is my problem with Arsenal. All these gimmicks of family club. My friend, improve that team. Trossard, 30 plus, 1 year left on his contract. Let him go. Let him go and get a final payday somewhere. So that's just the one thing. But I do think we will win the league. So looking forward to that. And hold me to my predictions at the end of the season, of course. Who do I think will be the top goal scorer? Erling Haaland, 30 plus goals. Erling Haaland had a bad season last year and scored 23 goals. That's how good he is. So it's going to remind everybody about the jugador he is. Biggest surprise team, I still think Bournemouth. I think last year they surprised people a little bit and people thought it might be a flash in the pan. Yes, they've lost a lot of their defenders, Zabani, Milos Kerkesh and Daniel Huijsen. But I trust Raola to find a way to regenerate. They'll sign some centre backs, and their attacking forward liners remain the same. They've still got Semenyo, they've still got Justin Kluivert. Evan Nielsen should play a full season this year. And I just think that if people underrate Bournemouth, they're going to be in for a rude shock. I also think Semenyo is going to take another step this year. World Cup year, Ghana are looking good for qualifying. So watch this space. I think Bournemouth will be the biggest surprise team. Biggest surprise player. I already mentioned his name, Tijani Reinders. This is more for people who only watch Premier League. Because if you watch Serie A, you know that there's no surprise about this boy. But I'm telling you, he's going to surprise a lot of people. Especially like the pundits in England who don't watch other leagues. Absolutely superb footballer. I've wanted him at Arsenal. But I can't have everything I wish for in life. You know, the game is the game. What else? Biggest letdown. I think West Ham United are going to struggle. Graham Potter, it just feels like it's not the right fit with West Ham. They've lost Kudus, so they only have Bowen. They've kept Fulkrug as their strikers and Callum Wilson. It just leaves a lot to be desired over there. Like, it's Bowen or nothing. You know, they've signed a really good fullback, though, Diouf. Watch out for him. He's very good. And I think they'll be all right defensively with Kilman and Wan-Bissaka in their backline as well. But something just doesn't seem right over there. Will Paqueta leave? Will Paqueta stay? Who knows? But all shall be revealed. And then finally, best new player. Glock. Gyork 14. I like this guy's balls. Took the number 14 shirt. Literally was like all Arsenal. He doesn't have time for frivolities. He read one letter by Odegaard. He said, all I need from you is some assists. I like the way the guy feels, man. And for him to get this opportunity to play for a top club with the chance to win the Premier League and the Champions League at 27, he just sounds to me like a striker that's coming back for blood and is going to take all his chances. So I think Gyökeres will be the best new player. Now, to round up this segment, I just want to touch on the objectives for our Nigerian players in the league, starting with our best player in the Premier League, Ola Aina, in my opinion. Ola Aina just needs to have a good, strong season. Nottingham Forest is going to play in the Europa League, so he'll get to play in Europe. I think it'll be the first time he'll play in Europe, apart from if he made a game when he was playing for Chelsea. So really looking forward to it. Can Nottingham Forest run it back again? In pre-season, they've drawn a lot of games 0-0, which tells me that the defense is going to be just as good, and they've kept their back four the same. Everybody's still there. Nico Williams, Milenkovic, Morello, and Matsels in goal. The problem is their attack. No goal scored. But at least from a defensive perspective, we expect Nottingham Forest to continue to do the business. And I just want Aina to continue to grow his profile. You know, we've got AFCON coming up. And if we don't make World Cup, he's never going to play in the World Cup again. So he has a lot of incentives for his career right now. So looking forward to seeing how he plays. Taiwo Awoniyi's objective for the season is very simple. Now that he's recovered from his coma and everything, can he just be a useful bit power player for Nottingham Forest? He's not going to bench Chris Wood. But Nottingham Forest have also signed another striker from Brazil, that Botafogo striker. So will Taiwo Awoniyi even remain in Nottingham Forest? I don't know. But can he contribute when he plays? Can he score whenever he gets an opportunity in the League Cup? Or maybe the Conference League, because Nottingham Forest has played in the Conference League. Who knows? I think he just needs to stabilize his career. I don't think right now Taiwo Awoniyi should be thinking about Super Eagles or anything like that. He's not going to make it to the squad. But who am I? I don't know. December is still far. But I think he just needs to get quality minutes and show his talent whenever he gets the opportunity. As for the Fulham boys, Alex Iwobi had his best season ever in the Prem last year. He scored 9 goals and got 6 assists, 15 goal contributions for a Fulham side that were pretty good mid-table. I think this year, can Iwobi take that next step? He's 29 years old now, so he's definitely in his prime now. Can he do a 10-10 season? If he could score 9 goals, can he make it 10? Can he get a few more assists? Fulham, it must be said, have not really strengthened their team. So we're still working with the same tools in terms of Raul Jimenez, Rodrigo Muniz, Harry Wilson, you know. But I think there's something in Iwobi and how settled he is and comfortable he is in his own skin that I think he's primed for a very, very good season as well. We also remember how Nigerians who don't watch football unfairly blamed him for AFCON final. You people need to relax. Same way the last AFCON, he got red card. Let me tell you, Alex Iwobi's come back for blood, man. And let me tell you, Alex Iwobi is still a very, 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 very important player for Nigeria. Nobody has more caps for Nigeria in that squad. None. He will soon get 100 caps in the next year or two. Alex Iwobi. Fantastic. So that's what I want to see. Can he do a 10-10 season? That would be fantastic to see. As for his club teammate and our best defender in the Super Eagles, at least centre-backs, Calvin Bassey. Calvin Bassey was named Fulham Player of the Season last year. Fantastic, fantastic performance for him. You know, and he just looked like the king of the defense. Let's put it that way. So what I want from Calvin Bassey this year is to just continue to raise his game. Can he now play so well this season that he's considered in the upper echelons of centre-backs in the Premier League? That's the next goal for Calvin Bassey. Can he do it? I'm literally going to a World Cup year and AFCON knowing that he's probably one of, if not the best defender at AFCON. You know, obviously, I'm sure there's other countries with great centre-backs, but we know how important Bassey is for Nigeria. So I want to see if he can take that next step and really be considered the upper echelon centre-back in the Premier League. And then finally, I wanted to mention a Nigerian footballer called Ahmed Abdullahi. I was doing some research yesterday and I came across him. And I was very pleasantly surprised. So Ahmed Abdullahi right now is a player who plays for Sunderland. Very interesting story. 21 years old, just turned 21. He literally is on Sunderland's books, and I had no idea. He's played in Nigeria in the 20s enough times, and he made the move to Ghent, where he was signed from Ghent in Belgium. Now, because of his age, a lot of last season, he played for their junior side who are called John Ghent. He scored 21 goals in 28 games in the 2024 season. And then last season, he played some more games for this team in Belgium. However, right now, he's back on the books of Sunderland. He's a centre forward. And what actually interests me, his agent is the same agent as Bukayo Saka, Joe Aribo, Nathan Tella, and basically a lot of the elite players you see playing in England. Jamie Gittins, Romeo Lavia, Jadon Sancho, Alexi Iwobi, Ola Aina, Folari Balogu, Nketiah, Terry Murphy, all of them are on the books of Elite Project Group. So the fact that Ahmed Abdullahi is on their books tells me that he's a serious player to look out for. And he's a centre forward and his record looks pretty decent. You know, even last season, 21 goals in 38 games. And this was now even like the second or third division in Belgium. So look out for him. I'm not sure if he will play for Sunderland. Maybe they may loan him again, but he's one to watch. And if he gets minutes for Sunderland, of course, we'll be sure to report on that. And then finally, Frank Onyeka. I'm still not sure if Frank Onyeka will end up staying at Brentford and if he'll play. It's not a good sign when you're playing your last friendly before the season starts and you don't even get any minutes. That tells me that Keith Andrews is not necessarily looking at you. But what can you do, Frank Onyeka? We've seen how well you can play for Nigeria, but what's happening right now that's not translating with football. We need as many players in the Premier League as possible. We've lost the Leicester boys. You know, we've lost a lot of Nigerian players playing in Premier League. Even the Southampton boys that were useless last year. So right now, we have a total of 6 Nigerian footballers in the Premier League books. Obviously, we have the dual nationals that have not declared for us. But I think that number needs to go up. That's not good enough. We have a few too many in the championship. Osai Samuel, Semi Ajayi, even Iheanacho, all these guys. No, Iheanacho's at Sevilla. Forgive me. Slip of the tongue. But anyway, those are the Nigerian players and what we expect for them in the Premier League this season. So, just to round up and talk a few more Champions League qualifiers. This is to see which Nigerian player will end up playing in the Champions League. At the moment, we have the usual suspects, the likes of Lookman, Osimhen, they'll always play Champions League. So we're looking forward to that. But who else can join them? Victoria Pilsen. Earlier today, Rangers clinched their spot in the final round of Champions League qualifiers. Because they won the first leg 3-0, they were able to lose the game today 2-1. Sherwoodeza started the game and got hooked after 55 minutes. Rafael Durosimi actually scored one of the goals for Victoria Pilsen, so well done to him. Rangers are now through to the final round, and unfortunately, the final round will be Rangers versus Club Brugge. So one of Deza's or my favourite, Onyedika, will not play in the Champions League. I do hope Club Brugge make it, because I think Onyedika is our best central midfielder and I want him to continue to showcase his talent in the big leagues. I think it's also a shame that he didn't get a move this summer. What are our agents doing? I don't know, man. I don't know. Onyedika should be all over the top club's radar right now. But anyway, we'll see how they do. Club Brugge, as I said, I also threw earlier today. They won 1-0 after the first leg. So I think they also won the other game 2-1. So 3-1 on aggregate. So Club Brugge, well done. We'll see how they get on. No, they won today 3-2. Sorry. So aggregate was 4-2. Also, Red Star Belgrade, that's where we have Peter Olainka. They played today as well. They're 1-0 up, so on aggregate, that will end 4-1, and they will move on to the next round. Unfortunately for Teremofi, Nice have been absolutely destroyed by Benfica. They lost 2-0 at home to Benfica last week, so that ended 2-0 and 4-0 on aggregate. So we'll see Teremofi in the Europa League, unfortunately or fortunately. Now, earlier today, we watched the Chan Eagles compete in the African Nations Championship, and they somehow contrived to lose 4-0. 4 unreplied goals to 0 to Sudan. Now, because of work, I watched this game in spurts here or there. But some really shocking and comical football. I saw the goals. I mean, the first 2 goals, one was an own goal and a penalty. If you see the mistakes this centre-back made, my God. I don't want to slander them too much because I've been talking for a lot. But there's a reason the MPFL is the 12th best league in Africa. I keep telling you guys. Yes, we all want to champion our local league and wish them well. But 12th for a reason. That's not good enough. Even the Sudanese league is better than the Nigerian league. Go and check the coefficients. So it's really a surprise. Nigerians need to stop using our brain of our A team to judge the B team. Nigeria's MPFL players are not that good. If they're that good, they've already moved to Europe when they're 18, 19. All these Ahmed Abdullahi we are calling, Hafiz Ibrahim, Atrim. A lot of our players, they carry them when they are young, straight from Nigeria. So the ones that are remaining in MPFL, a lot of them are not that good. It's not even an abuse. No Nigerian team has made a CAF Champions League since the year Liverpool won the Champions League in 2019. Do you know how long ago that was? If someone started secondary school that year, they have already graduated though. Sure, you know, by this August. So let's just temper these expectations. I was listening to some Twitter space, and some woman was trying to blame Eric Chell, and I was just like, Nigerians, man. Some of our people are insane. What manager do you see managing the A team that they say should manage B team? She was mentioning Stephen Keshi. May his soul continue to rest in peace. Stephen Keshi is an outlier. You don't see any of the big countries in the world. They are telling their main manager for their national team to come and coach the home base in the corner. To do what? Then you now want to blame him as if his priority should be those players when he has World Cup and AFCON to focus on, and we have over 100 players playing in Europe. Like, we need to really temper our expectations, man. These are the best players in MPFL and they're just not good enough. Some people will now be saying that how will they not call any MPFL player to Super Eagles? The truth of the matter, whether you like it or not, no MPFL player, not one, deserves to be in the Super Eagles squad based on the pool of talents we have all over the world. Fair enough if we're Gambia or one of these countries that don't have enough players abroad. But Nigeria, 215 million population, diaspora alone might be 20 million safe. We get players for everywhere. Any country you can think of, Nigeria player they there. So let's respect ourselves and wish the best for our national team. You now allow sentiments to come. You say foreign base, they don't play with heart. My friend, get out of here. So they should hold that one 4-0 and don't blame the manager. Don't blame the manager. I don't like that thing at all. So anyway, good luck to Nigeria. We're already out. They lost to Senegal 1-0. If you see the comical goal they conceded as well, useless. Now 4-0 to Sudan. They haven't even scored one goal. They had one goal disallowed today, but what have you done? Just a disgrace to our... They are just disgracing the jersey. I won't lie to you. Such an embarrassment. But anyway, you get what you cater for. So that's it in terms of main updates. One thing I wanted to tell you all, because we are less than a month away from the crucial World Cup qualifiers, home against Rwanda and away against South Africa, we're going to be launching a new index. We're going to be calling it the Super Eagles Index. Super Eagles Index. Who's hot and who's not? I'm basically just looking at players and who we think has done a lot to make themselves a credible candidate to be called up for the national team or hitting up at the right moment where we expect them to flourish for the national team. And we'll also be touching on players who may not be getting minutes or playing poorly who will drop down on the index. So look out for that. We'll be starting that next week in anticipation of the World Cup qualifiers. Finally, FPL. I will be posting the FPL link to the Nigeria Football Weekly Twitter page and all our handles before Friday's deadline. Make sure you get in there and sign up. I tried to get the codes to show you right now, but there's something going on with the Fantasy Premier League website. Now, the winner of the Fantasy League this year we know that even if Nigeria make World Cup, but we don't make World Cup, Nike are going to release new jersey for us. That's just the truth of the matter. So the winner of the league, the mini league in FPL, will be gifted whatever the latest Nigeria men's jersey is, home or away. That will be your prize, and you can hold me to it on that one. So that's it in terms of main reviews. That's been a long one. But look, season just they start. Now, so you all know, a lot of leagues are starting this weekend. Premier League starts this weekend. La Liga starts this weekend. Also, which other league starts this weekend? League One starts this weekend. Also, in Italy and Spain, even though their league seasons don't start this week, the Coppa Italia will be starting this week, and also the DFB Pokal will be starting this week in... Is it DFB Pokal? Yes, the DFB Pokal in Germany. So Germany and Italy cup competition start this weekend. Meanwhile, in England, Germany, and France, the leagues all resume this weekend. So very exciting. So starting with our favorite league, as always, Premier League. Who do we have to watch out for? The Nottingham Forest boys, I've already spoken enough about them, so this will be a quick run through. Nottingham Forest play Brentford at home on Sunday, 2 p.m. So look out for that game. That's going to be Ola Aina and Taiwo Awoniyi. Emmanuel Dennis is still on the books, but that was not a footballer again. Whatever happens to his career, I wish him well. And of course, Brentford, let's see if Frank Oyeka will suit up for Brentford against Nottingham Forest. I hope he gets some minutes so he can at least play in the Prem, because we need him to be in the best league. If not, get another good loan move, preferably to a team better than Auberg. Maybe shoot for the Europa League or something. Let us see. It will be interesting to note, so look out for that one. Also, the Fulham boys will be kicking off their season on Saturday, 3 p.m. kickoff away at the Amex Stadium against Brighton. This should be a tasty tie. These are both teams that will have European ambitions, but we know they both finished mid-table last year, so watch out for that. And then Ahmed Abdullahi for Sunderland. Let's see if he gets any minutes as they play West Ham at the Stadium of Light to open the season. They're finally back in the Premier League after an 8-year absence, and I'm not going to lie to you, Sunderland are Prem heritage, man. We need Sunderland in the Premier League. Sunderland, Leeds, those kind of teams should be in the Prem, but hey, the reason why we love football is a meritocracy. Play well and you remain. Lose, bye-bye. So, leagues, games to watch out for. As we said on Friday, Liverpool's Bournemouth, 8 p.m. Make sure you set your clocks. Do your FPL team before 6:30 on Friday. You know, it's going. And then on Saturday, early kickoff, we've got Aston Villa hosting Newcastle. I'm sure when they put this game as early kickoff, they thought Isaac could be playing. So watch this space. I'll put Oli Watkins in my fancy team. I hope he absolutely batters Newcastle when they cry some more. And then we've got 3 p.m. kickoff games for your viewing pleasure. The Nigerian boys at Fulham will be at Amex Stadium, as I mentioned. And also Ahmed Abdullahi Sunderland will be hosting West Ham. Also, Tottenham Hotspur kick off the new season under the new era of Thomas Frank with the home game against Burnley. The late kickoff on Saturday will see Manchester City go to Wolverhampton to open their account at Molineux. I expect Erling Haaland to have a very fruitful game, so watch this space. And then on Sunday, 2 p.m. kickoff, Chelsea hosts Crystal Palace at Stamford Bridge. I'm sure Chelsea fans are very expectant for the season, so let's see how they get on in the new season. And then Nottingham Forest will host Brentford same time. If you live in England now, any game that's outside the 3 p.m. kickoff will now be broadcast on TV, no matter what. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, right? Everybody else outside of England, every single Premier League game they can watch. But us that we live in the home of the league, we cannot watch 3 p.m. kickoff legally. It's quite interesting. But anyway, Nottingham game is on TV is the point. And then the big one, to start the season. Well, based on my age, just know I'm 30 plus. So I grew up on Manchester United versus Arsenal. Wenger versus Ferguson. And the Prem, of course, had to dust off their cap to help with the ratings. They brought out the two most watched clubs in England, at least by TV ratings. Liverpool fans, don't be angry, it's the truth. Manchester United and Arsenal get the eyeballs, man. Manchester United versus Arsenal, 4:30 p.m. to start the season. Amorim's tricky Reds 15th. Can they do any better this season? Arsenal, can we finally go to Old Trafford and win after drawing last year? We won the year before, obviously, when Trossard scored, but it's game time. We need to start the season strong. We're going to Anfield. We're going to Old Trafford. We're playing Man City. We're going to St. James's Park in our first 6 games, so we need to start strong. Also, it's quite ironic that Man United's first choice striker target, Victor Gyökeres, is now playing for Arsenal, and Arsenal's first choice initial striker target, Benjamin Sesko, is now playing for Man United. So let's see. But anyway, with this about they play for us. So Gyök, it's time. So very, very excited of that one. I mean, that's the big game. I've even cleared my weekend schedule, man. So let's see how that game goes. But I'm predicting Arsenal to win 3-1. Let's go. And then finally, Monday Night Football is back. Leeds United back in the Prem. I told you, heritage clubs. Leeds United, Elland Road, Monday night, under those lights against Everton. We will be there. Although I think Everton are going to wallop them. Everton, low-key, now have a attacking midfield trio of Iliman Ndiaye, fantastic. Jack Grealish, let's see, but if he's anything like his old self, fantastic. Kenan Drewsbury Hall, 3. And then they've got Beto and Tony Barry from Villarreal. Low-key cooking, man. Let's see what their midfield looks like, you know. And of course, they've still got Brent Waite, Tarkovsky. So their defense is pretty good, and they got Pickford. So I'm really excited to see Everton play in their new stadium. I think it's good for the Premier League when you have one of the heritage clubs. Remember, if they ever ask you in a pub quiz, Everton are the only team apart from Arsenal to never have been relegated from the first division or the Premier League. Bam. So Arsenal and Everton, the only 2. So look out for that. So that's the Premier League roundup. Really, really excited. In fact, I'm buzzing. I'm going to give my opinions more on this pod. I know that that's what people like when it comes to engagement, when you say something. So just know, for me, Arsenal are winning the Premier League, and we start on Sunday. So let's move. In Serie A, they got the Coppa Italia starting this week. So the big teams do not play. So the likes of Lukman will not be in action. Chukwueze will not be in action. Even Udinese will not be in action. No, actually, Chukwueze will be in action because AC Milan finished 8th and below. So if you're one of the top 6 teams, you don't play this round of Coppa Italia. So Chukwueze will be in action against Bari at home on Sunday in Coppa Italia, 8:15 p.m. kickoff. Also, Ebenezer Akintomiro, one player to watch. Remember, he signed for Inter Milan 2 years ago. Former under 20 player. But he's been on loan at Sampdoria. He's actually just signed for Pisa, who just got promoted to Serie A. So watch this space. He'll be in action against Casena away on Sunday in Coppa Italia, 7:45 p.m. And David Okereke is back at Cremonense. So let's see if he plays when they play Palermo at home on Saturday, 8:15 p.m. kick-off. As for the Bundesliga, their league does not start yet, but DFB Pokal, everybody's in action. The Leverkusen boys, Neven Teller and Victor Boniface, will be in action against Sonnenhof Grubaspak away on Friday. They'll wallop them. Easy, but get some goals. Especially Boniface. No more talk. Let's see the walking on the pitch, please, you. If you want to make this AFCON squad, this one that you mess up on Nigeria one day, you go and post. Then you post Banga Boy, then tweet. Like, brother, get it together. Get it together, please. Gift Urban and Kevin Akbogumas Hoffenheim play Hansa Rostock away on Saturday, 2:30 p.m. kickoff. And then Jonathan Torreira could make his debut for Hamburg against Parmesans away on Saturday, 12 noon. In La Liga, Kristanz Uche, fresh off being handed the number 10 jersey for Getafe, will kick off his second professional season for Getafe away against Celta Vigo on Sunday, 4 p.m. Look out for this space. Also, if you live in England, the 8:30 game, the La Liga game on Saturday, 8:30, every Saturday will now be shown on Disney+. So watch out for that space. So, for example, Real Sociedad's Omar Sadiq, they play Valencia away, which is ironic because he got loaned to Valencia. So Real Sociedad play Valencia away on Saturday, 8:30 p.m. So if you're in England, that game will be on Disney+. So watch that one for free if you have a subscription. And then the Sevilla boys, Ejuke, Iheanacho, and Akko Adams. I'm still not sure who will play, who will not, who will be loaned. Will they loan Iheanacho out again? Can he resurrect his career? All shall be revealed. But they kick off their season away as San Mamés against Athletic Bilbao. Obviously, we saw us not thrash Athletic Bilbao. I don't know what Nico Williams is doing staying there, but switch down. So let's see how the Sevilla boys kick off the season this time. And then in Ligue 1, Terem Murphy will be in action against Toulouse at home on Saturday, 8:05 p.m. kickoff. Moses Simon will make his debut for Paris FC, competitive debut away against Angers on Sunday, 4:15 p.m. kickoff. George Lenny Kenna's Monaco will be in action against Le Havre at home on Saturday, so watch this space. As for Chidozie Awaziem's got baptism of fire. Nantes host PSG at home on Sunday, 7:45 p.m. kickoff. Hamza Odedi Lens, they'll be hosting Lyon at home, 4 p.m. on Saturday. And finally, Gabriel Ocho's Auxerre will be playing against Lorient at home on Sunday. So that's it for the top 5 leagues. We don't have any Nigerian players playing in the Eredivisie this season. I noticed that Zedu Sanusi came off the bench for Porto yesterday, so that looks to be good omens in terms of him still having a future at Porto. So I'm really glad to see that for Zedu Sanusi. Can he make a late push back into the Super Eagles fold? You can argue he plays for a better team than both Onyemachi and Felix Agu do. But is there a world where he's able to force himself back into contention for the team? So watch this space. Actually, forgive me, why did I not mention Felix Agu's fixture this weekend? So Felix Agu will be kicking off his season on Friday against Arminia Bielefeld away. 7:45 p.m. kickoff in the DFB Pokal. So watch this space. Very, very excited to see how he performs in the Bundesliga this year and if he can force his way into the AFCON squad. Now in Turkey, the Turkish league started this weekend, but Osimhen was injured and did not play for Galatasaray in their 3-0 win over Gaziantep on Friday. I'm not sure what his injury situation is, but let's see if he plays against Karagümrük at home on Friday, 7:30 p.m. kickoff. As for Anthony Dennis, Godsepe, watch out for Anthony Dennis, supreme player, I'm telling you. He played 45 minutes and scored a goal in the 96th minute as Godsepe beat Rizespor 3-0 on Sunday. Next up for him, he plays Jose Mourinho's Fenerbahce on Saturday, 7:30 p.m. So let's see how he gets on in that game. And then Polo Nuachu and Anthony Nwakeme were both in action Trabzonspor, as I said. Onuachu scored the winning goal in their 1-0 win over Kocaelispor on Monday, while Anthony Nwakeme also played 84 minutes in this game. Next up for them, they play Kashim Pasha away on Monday. In the Belgian league, we saw the Club Brugge boys. Onyedika got a yellow card last week as Club Brugge beat Salzburg on Wednesday. On Saturday, he played 18 minutes, probably just to manage his load, as Club Brugge beat Cercle Brugge 2-0. And of course, he started again today as they romped to yet another win to set up a tie against Rangers. On the weekend, they'll play Zoto Waregem on Saturday. As for the Genk boys, man, their season has started terribly. Aroko Dara and Yerasura both came off the bench. I'm not sure why Aroko Dara is being benched, considering he was the top goal scorer in the league. They lost yet again, this time to Standard Liège. So that means they've lost 2 of their first 3 games, which is kind of crazy. Although Tolu Aroko Dara left with something, he did score their only goal in that game. Let's see if they can get back to winning ways when they play UH Leuven away on Friday. As for Benjamin Frederick, his FC Dundee team lost 2-0 to St. Truden on Friday, but he played 90 minutes and has taken the first steps in his career as a professional footballer. It's not often that a player gets capped for the national team before they've played, but we've seen this kind of thing happen before for certain players. Thiago Almada, Argentina springs to mind, for example. But anyway, I'm really, really excited to see how well Benjamin Frederick can play this season for FCV Denda. So watch this space. And then finally, Cyril Dessers, we already mentioned, he scored last week against Victoria Pilsen. On the weekend, he did play 90 minutes and thought he'd scored the winner for Rangers in their 1-1 draw against Dundee. He scored in stoppage time, but it was ruled out for offside by VAR. And then today, he played just 54 minutes as they qualified despite losing to Victoria Pilsen because of their 3-0 win in the first leg. And then on the weekend, they play Aloha Athletic in the League Cup on Saturday. So that's it in terms of the podcast for this week. We're not yet getting into Starboy of the Week because I don't think there's been enough games to do a Starboy of the Week. But of course, watch this space. Really, really excited for the football being back. As you know, this thing gives me joy, a lot of pleasure. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. TikTok or Instagram or YouTube or Premier League is starting. Who's going to win? What's your top 4? Who's the top goal scorer? Who's the flop of the season? What manager's going to get sacked first? Will it be Amarin? We shall see. But really look forward to the season. Excited for the content coming. We've got World Cup qualifiers this year, AFCON this year. Hopefully, by God's grace, Nigeria will somehow do miracle and make the World Cup, because I can't imagine missing back-to-back World Cups. So a lot of content coming. I remember we're on the road to 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. They say if you do not call it forth, it does not happen. Shout out to our 3,500 subscribers on YouTube at the moment. I appreciate all the love, all the support. Good comments, bad comments. Me, I will dark bada if you abuse me. And I know what I'm talking about. I watch football very well. And I do my research to bring this info to you. Remember, nothing we say is with spite or with evil eye. Even the ones that were arguing me about Darabayo and saying, will you choose England? I don't need to put my personal business there. Just know that based on citizenship, I can support England too. So don't give me that crap because colonizer has brainwashed you and you say, they have better facilities. Who better facility up? England, with all their better facility, they don't want any trophy in the men's side since 1966. So don't do that crap. Do not belittle your national team because of NFF's incompetence. It's still Super Eagles. It's the one thing that unites the whole country and brings us joy. We also did joy in AFCON last year, so don't give me that crap. So looking forward to all the football. Excited for the season, and I'll catch you on episode 154 of the Nigeria Football Weekly next week. Until next time, take care. I'm your host, Oluoke. And we're back, baby!
Thanks for watching this video. Please like, share, subscribe, and click the bell to get a notification whenever we drop a video. You can also find our social media channels listed below. And of course, up Super Eagles and Nigerian, they ever carry last.